Did somebody finally make a cool minivan? This new Volkswagen ID Buzz says yes. What's up, folks? I'm Dave Undercoffler, editor-in-chief of Autolist.com, a sister company to CarGurus. One of the most hotly anticipated debuts for 2025 is this new Volkswagen. It's an all-electric minivan that resurrects the spirit of the iconic Volkswagen bus from decades ago. It packs bold new styling on the outside, tons of space on the inside, and finally makes the case that yes, minivans can be cool. So is all that worth the high price and the short range? Let's go spend some time with this and find out. But before we do, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you can get alerts on all of our future updates. All right, let's start by taking a look at the exterior of this ID Buzz. There are 3 different trim levels available: the Pro S, the Pro S Plus, and then the First Edition. We are testing a fully loaded Pro S Plus with all-wheel drive. As you see it here, it's about $70,000. One of the first things you're probably noticing is the two-tone color scheme. Base models, the Pro S, will come in one of 3 solid colors. That's white, gray, or black. Here we've got a really nice two-tone. We've got cherry red and then silver. Other color combinations will have white, where you see silver here, and then a variety of different colors depending on the trim level. And then there's the styling. Rather than going with a retro look that's reminiscent of the old Volkswagen bus, they decided to go a little more modern. If you look at these headlights, they look a lot like other Volkswagen crossovers in its lineup today. But meanwhile, the profile of this van is unmistakably Volkswagen bus. One last thing about the styling up front: many people hear EV and think, oh, there's got to be a frunk, but as you can see, there is no storage up front. Moving to the side, it's here that you can really see the profile of this Buzz. Matches the bus from decades ago. A couple of things I want to point out. Again, you can see the two-tone color scheme on the side here. I really like those 20-inch alloy wheels. Those are standard on all trims. You'll see this window cut out. This is actually the only part of this entire window that opens. It actually slides to the back here. And then you have power sliding doors on either side of the vehicle. In terms of dimensions, this Volkswagen is about 6 inches shorter overall than many of its minivan rivals. That includes the Honda Odyssey, the Kia Carnival, and the Chrysler Pacifica. It's also about 6 inches taller than those rivals, and its width is about the same. Moving to the back, you've got this really squared off profile here, really gives it that bold look at the rear of this van. You've got the ID Buzz label here, the new Volkswagen emblem above it, and then we've got the 4Motion label down here. That's Volkswagen's name for its all-wheel drive system that we've got on our tester today. Okay, so as I mentioned, you can get either rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, regardless of which you choose. They both have the same battery. It's a 91 kilowatt-hour battery. Rear-wheel drive models will have 282 horsepower and 413 pound-feet of torque. They also have an EPA estimated range of 234 miles. And then there's the all-wheel drive version that we're testing today. This has 335 horsepower and 512 pound-feet of torque. Range drops by just 3 miles to 231. The 4Motion all-wheel drive system is an option on the Pro S Plus and the First Edition for about $4,500. All right, now to the interior. A couple of things I want to highlight. The first is you have a 12.9-inch display here for the infotainment system. This has wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto connectivity. And then you have a much smaller display screen right in front of you. That's a digital screen. I like this screen. It's bright, it's responsive to your touch. The system works very quickly, so that's pretty cool. This screen seems like a little bit of a waste. It shows some information, but really not all of the information that you want. It also shows stuff that you don't want, so a little bit of a missed opportunity there, but it does give you really good visibility looking out. Another cool feature I want to point out: this has heated and cooled seats up front as standard in the ID Buzz. We also have massaging seats up front, but don't get too excited. They're some of the worst, kind of lamest massage seats I've felt in a really long time. You'll also notice there really aren't any buttons for this infotainment system or the climate control. That always drives me a little nuts. You do have touch-sensitive sliding panels here for both the temperature and then for the volume for the stereo. And then if you hit this button that says Clima, it will then pull up the display with all of your climate functions. You also have quick sort of shortcuts to some of the more usable functions down below. The system also gives you the shortcut of just hitting this button here, and rather than getting the full climate menu, you do have some shortcuts like fan speed. In terms of connectivity, you've got some pretty good options in the ID Buzz. There's a pair of USB-C charge ports over here, and then a really deep pocket that is actually wireless smartphone charging. Your phone just sort of hides down there and charges. There's also a USB-C charge port up here. I'm not sure if that's for a dash cam or why they have it up there. And then another one on the passenger side door. In terms of materials and fit and finish, the interior is a bit of a mixed bag. A couple of things that I like: you've got this sort of fake metal trim and then a fake wood trim here. That looks really nice. The seats themselves are really comfortable. You've got really nice lumbar support, and a nice sort of bonus feature is that you have armrests that fold up on either side for both the driver and the passenger. I do like that. But then there's some of the negatives. You've got this really hard, cheap plastic throughout the cabin. You've got it here on the doors, you've got it down below. That's the kind of stuff that's gonna scratch pretty easily, and so the cabin is gonna kind of get beat up with some use over time. And then finally, it wouldn't be a minivan if there weren't lots of practicality and functionality built into this cabin. So there's definitely some on the ID Buzz. You've got a really nice shelf here to keep maybe an extra cell phone or some snacks for the kids. Down here, this whole console opens up for some extra cup holders. You also have some cup holders built into the door. The doors themselves have multiple pockets. And then this center console, you can actually remove. You can take it out of the vehicle entirely, or you can put it in two other positions further back in the seats. The console itself then has extra storage down below, and then there's a drawer that slides out of the back. And one really cool trick, you have these little pieces that slide out. This is a bottle opener, and this is a built-in ice scraper. All right, before I get in and show you second row space, I want to show you one of my favorite features on this ID Buzz, and this is actually surprisingly rare in other minivans and other three-row crossovers, and it's the ability to leave a car seat in this seat and move it out of the way without the seat collapsing onto that car seat. So now I can load my kids up into the third row and then move this seat back and put a kid here, all without collapsing that seat. It's pretty rare in the industry, although Volkswagen's Atlas, its large three-row crossover, also has that feature. All right, now that I'm in the middle seat, let me show you some of the highlights while you sit here. First thing is space. I have tons of space, leg room, room for my knees, room for my head. This seat slides quite a bit. Let me move it here. So you can get pretty close if you have a kid with a car seat that you're trying to access from the parents up front. That's kind of handy, but if you need more space, this slides all the way back. I mean, this is like being in a limousine, so that's really cool. Some other nice comfort features built in. We've got our own armrests right here. You can adjust the height. We have our own climate control up above. There's one on either side. I also have my own USB-C charge port and three-way heated seats back here. That's pretty cool. Finally, don't forget that that center console from the front seats is removable, and it can slot actually right here or back here. All right, now to the third row, and this is really impressive just how much space is back here. One thing to remember is that this second row seat is all the way back. Remember how much space you had when it was in that position. So even with it all the way back, I'm 6'1". I've got more than enough room to sit behind that seat. Headroom, leg room, room for my knees, it's fantastic. The floor is also low. Some SUVs in the third row, the floor will be kind of high, so you sit with your knees too close to your chest. But no, back here, you could have 6 tall adults in this van and ride very comfortably for a long period of time. That's pretty cool. All right, now to the rear cargo area. The space back here is pretty good. You have these sort of collapsible drawers that Volkswagen built in. They hold some stuff. This actually then closes down on top of it, keeps it out of sight. These seats do fold flat, and it gives you a nice flat section. You can put a lot of stuff there. The problem is, and what's different about this ID Buzz from all the other minivans that it's up against, is that these seats do not then fold into the floor. That's kind of frustrating. You can take them out. They're really heavy. It's kind of a tedious process, but they don't completely fold into the floor. And that also means that there's not that space down below that the other minivans have when the seats are in position. The reason for that is that there are batteries underneath this entire vehicle. So you do give up a little bit of flexibility and functionality in that way. All right, now driving impressions. And while this is a pretty heavy vehicle, there's a lot of batteries underneath us in the floor here, it also is pretty fast. Remember, we're in the 335 horsepower version. Car and Driver says this will do 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds. That's pretty quick. So this feels pretty fast at stoplights or on on-ramps. I really am enjoying that. Otherwise, the rest of the driving experience is kind of what you'd expect from an electric minivan, right? The steering feels pretty good. It does roll a little bit when you go around corners, but no one's buying this to be a sports car. The brakes feel good. It does have the option to put it in B mode. That's for regenerative braking. Gives you sort of that one pedal driving experience that many EV drivers are familiar with and appreciate. So I've had it in that setting most of the time that we've been driving it. Wind noise and road noise, pretty good. This car feels a little bit on the sporty side, so it might be a little louder than maybe sort of a plush luxury SUV, but it's really nothing to complain about. I always love how quiet EVs are in general, so that's pretty good. The ride quality itself, very comfortable. We took this on a long road trip over the weekend. Everybody was comfortable. The suspension is nicely tuned, but it does, like I said, have a little bit of that body roll. Now, the one thing that does take a little getting used to is the visibility. Now, you might be able to tell because the camera is actually so far away. This windshield is really far away relative to where I am sitting. You've got a really big dashboard in between myself and the glass. So that takes a little bit of getting used to. You also have basically 2 A-pillars, right? You've got a big piece of glass here. So you've got a really nice view looking out. You sit up tall, and that's kind of nice when you're on the freeway. But the minute you start looking over your shoulder or looking here to change lanes, it gets a little dicey. Because like I said, you've got sort of 2 A-pillars pillars. This B pillar is really thick, and then the glass behind me is actually pretty small. So when you go to look over your shoulder, it can be hard to see what is in the lane next to you. And then looking out in the back, it is pretty good. You got to make sure that that third row of seats, they have huge headrests, so you got to make sure that those are folded and out of the way. Now, in terms of competitors, it's a bit of a mixed bag in terms of what this might go up against. You do have many other minivan rivals. There's the Chrysler Pacifica, which offers a plug-in hybrid variant, but nothing fully electric. Then you also have the Kia Carnival and the Toyota Sienna. Both of those come in a hybrid version. And then you have the Honda Odyssey. That is still sort of old school. It's gas only. If you want to compare it to a 3-row electric crossover, it'd probably be the Kia EV9. That's going to have greater range and about the same pricing. So if that matters, it might be worth looking at the Kia. But otherwise, this ID Buzz really is in sort of a unique space. It is the only all-electric 3-row minivan on the market. All right, folks, there you have it. Our review of the first ever 2025 Volkswagen ID Buzz. Pros, well, it's got bold exterior styling that turns heads wherever you go. Plus, inside there's tons of space and comfort for everyone, no matter where you're sitting. And finally, you can recharge it pretty quickly. Cons, well, as we mentioned, it is expensive. This version here is $70,000. It's a lot of money for an EV. And then there's the range. 231 miles just isn't enough these days, especially when you consider the price. Finally, there's that issue with the third row seats not folding into the floor. That just takes away some of the practicality that other minivans definitely offer. So overall, we were a little disappointed by this ID Buzz. We were hoping for either a lower price or better range. Now, there are a couple of caveats to that. If you're just gonna be driving it around town and really not taking it on long road trips, then this definitely will suit your needs. Or if you see lease deals on this thing, that definitely makes the case a lot sweeter. But as it stands now, it has a hard time beating out many of its rivals. But hey, at least it's the first cool minivan. So for reviews or listings of this Volkswagen or anything else you're shopping for, new or used, be sure to check out CarGurus.com. And before you go, like and subscribe to this channel so you can get alerts on all of our future updates. We'll see you out there.